She texted, "I'm pregnant and scared. Please come to the clinic with me tomorrow." I dropped everything and took the day off work. The clinic had no appointment for her. Then I checked her Instagram. She was at brunch with her ex, laughing about how fast he came running. When I showed up at the restaurant, 28M, work as a senior analyst for a firm that treats casual time off like felony. My girlfriend, 26F, of 2 years knew this better than anyone. She knew I was in the final sprint for a promotion that would effectively double my salary and move me into the executive track. She also knew my biggest trigger. My father was a flippant, accidental parent who spent my entire childhood reminding me I was a mistake that ruined his life. Because of that, the idea of an unplanned pregnancy was my absolute breaking point. 2 days ago, at 6:30 a.m., my world cracked open. My phone started screaming with texts. "I'm pregnant. I'm shaking. I can't breathe. Please come to the clinic with me tomorrow morning. I need you there. Please don't hate me." The panic was a physical weight. I didn't care about the promotion. I didn't care about the high-stakes quarterly review I had scheduled for that morning. I called my boss at 7 a.m., spun a story about a family medical crisis, and spent the rest of the day in a daze. I was researching pediatricians, looking at larger apartments, and figuring out how to reconfigure my entire 401k to provide for a child I hadn't planned for but was already determined to protect. I was terrified, but I was all in. I was going to be the man she needed, the man my father wasn't. The next morning, we met at the clinic. She looked like a ghost, pale, trembling, refusing to look me in the eye. She kept clutching her stomach and whispering about how scared she was of the future. I held her hand, telling her we'd get through it. When we finally got to the check-in desk, she gave her name to the receptionist. The woman behind the glass clicked through the computer for a long minute, frowning. "I'm sorry, honey. We don't have an appointment for you today, or any day this week." I felt a weird chill. My girlfriend didn't skip a beat. She went into a full-blown meltdown. "That's impossible. I called yesterday morning. Look again. How could you be so careless when I'm in the middle of a crisis? My boyfriend took the day off work for this." She was so loud, so convincingly outraged, that I actually started apologizing to her for the clinic's incompetence. She eventually stormed out, telling me she was too overwhelmed to think and needed to go to her mother's house to calm down. She told me to go home, get some rest, and she'd call me later once she fixed the appointment. I walked to my car, but the math wasn't adding up. This clinic was top tier. They didn't just lose appointments. I sat in the driver's seat and opened Instagram. I don't usually check her close friend stories, but I saw the green ring around her profile picture. The video had been posted 5 minutes ago. It was a boomerang of 2 mimosa glasses clinking. The caption read, "Mission accomplished. You should have seen how fast he came running. Hook, line, and sinker. Brunch with a favorite ex, love." The background showed a very distinct, expensive limestone patio. It was a bistro only 3 blocks from the clinic. I didn't feel angry yet. I felt cold. My brain went into analyst mode. I drove over there, but I didn't pull into the lot. I parked across the street and watched through the massive floor-to-ceiling windows. There she was. The shaking pale girl was gone. She was throwing her head back in a loud laugh, her hand resting familiarly on the forearm of her ex-boyfriend, the guy she spent 2 years telling me was toxic and stalking her. I walked into that restaurant. I didn't yell. I didn't make a scene. I walked straight to their table while they were mid-laugh. The ex looked up, his smug expression curdling instantly. My girlfriend froze, a piece of smoked salmon halfway to her mouth. "The clinic says hi," I said. She scrambled, her voice going up 3 octaves. I can explain. I was so stressed. He called to check on me, and I just needed a friend because you were being so intense about the baby. "You're not pregnant," I said. It wasn't a question. "I am. The test was." "Show me the test. Right now. We'll walk to the pharmacy next door, buy a digital one, and you can take in the bistro bathroom while I wait at the door. If it's positive, I'll pay for this entire brunch and spend the rest of my life making this up to you." The silence that followed was the loudest thing I've ever heard. The ex started to smirk again, leaning back in his chair. Hey, man, take a chill pill. She was just having some fun. You're always so obsessed with your big boy job. She just wanted to see if you actually care about her or just your paycheck. I looked at her. We're done. Don't go to your mother's. Go to the apartment. Pack. You have 2 hours before I change the locks. You can't change the locks, she yelled, her entitlement finally snapping into place. I live there. I have rights. You're being emotionally abusive because I made a tiny mistake. The lease is in my name, and I pay 100% of the rent. You are a guest. You have 2 hours. I walked out, but as I drove home, the betrayal part of my brain started connecting the dots. This wasn't just a test of my affection. My girlfriend had $15,000 in credit card debt she'd been hiding, which I discovered a month ago. She'd been begging me to merge our bank accounts for the future. I'd refused. I got home and checked our shared iPad search history. It wasn't just baby clothes. She'd been Googling how to file for common law marriage benefits in our state, and can a boyfriend be held liable for shared debts if a child is involved? She was trying to trap me into a financial commitment that would force me to pay off her predatory loans. She showed up at the apartment an hour later, but she wasn't alone. She brought her mother, a woman who views the world as her personal buffet. You cannot throw her out. The mother screamed the second I opened the door. She is having a medical scare. She thought she was pregnant, and the stress caused a false positive. You're a cold, cruel man. If you kick her out, we will sue you for illegal eviction. She has mail delivered here. You have to give 30 days notice. Look it up, genius. She was right about the law, and she knew it because she'd pulled this exact stunt on a landlord a year prior. In our state, if someone establishes residency for 30 days, you need a formal court-ordered eviction. Fine, I said, leaning against the doorframe. 30 days. But you're staying in the guest room. I'm moving your stuff out of my room now. No, my girlfriend said, her ego returning now that her mother was there to bark for her. I'm staying in the master bedroom. You can sleep on the couch. You're the one who caused the scene at the restaurant and humiliated me. You owe me. The entitlement was like a physical smog in the room. For the next 3 days, they made my life a living nightmare. She blasted music at 3 a.m. She invited the ex over while I was at work. I watched them on my internal security cameras eating my food and laughing about how weak I was. When I told the ex to leave, she called the police and claimed I was harassing her guests. The cops told me that since she was a legal resident, she was allowed to have company. They thought they had me. They thought they could bully me into a moving out settlement, where I'd pay off her credit cards just to get her to leave. They forgot what I do for a living. I analyze systems for vulnerabilities and execute kill switches when a project goes south. First, I call my landlord. He's a guy who values peace and quiet above all else, and he already hated my girlfriend because she once tried to sue the building because the elevator was too loud. I need to break my lease, I told him. I know the penalty is 2 months' rent. I'll pay it right now, but I want to do it under the emergency maintenance clause. We looked at the fine print together. If a unit requires essential repairs to life-sustaining systems, like plumbing or electricity, that make the unit uninhabitable, the landlord can terminate the occupancy immediately. He'd have to give me a rent credit, but since the lease was only in my name, he didn't owe any unauthorized occupants a single dime. The plan was in motion, but I wasn't done. I needed the ex-boyfriend out of the picture, too. I found out through a mutual friend, someone who also hated the guy, that the ex was currently on probation for a series of reckless driving charges and was supposed to be working 40 hours a week as a construction consultant to satisfy his parole. In reality, he was spending his days at the gym and his nights at my apartment. I spent Saturday morning at the courthouse. I filed a formal civil suit against my girlfriend for fraud and intentional infliction of emotional distress. I cited the $2,000 in lost wages from the day I took off, the documented Amazon furniture she'd ordered using my saved credit card info while I was at work, an emotional toll of the fake pregnancy. Then I drove to the ex's job site. I sat in my car and watched. He pulled up in a truck he couldn't afford, driving with one hand while filming a TikTok. He parked in a handicapped spot. I got the whole thing on a high-definition dash cam. I called a non-emergency line and reported an erratic driver who appeared to be under the influence. When the police showed up, they didn't find him drunk, but they did find a small bag of party favors in his glove box during the search. Since he was on probation, that was an automatic return to jail card. Now for the grand finale at the apartment. I walked in on Sunday evening. My girlfriend and her mother were in the living room, drinking my $200 bottle of scotch and browsing luxury handbags on my iPad. I hope you're enjoying that, I said, because it's the last drink you'll have in this building. Oh, shut up, the mother snapped. We have 27 days left. Maybe we'll stay 40. What are you going to do? The lease is terminated, I said, as of 2 o'clock today. The landlord is coming up now. A heavy knock at the door followed. The landlord walked in with a licensed plumber and a city inspector I'd tipped off about suspicious odors coming from events. Emergency repair notice, the landlord announced. The main sewage line for the stack is compromised. We have to rip up the floors in the master bath and shut off all water and power to this unit for the next 14 days. Per the city health code, this unit is now officially uninhabitable. You can't do that. We live here, my girlfriend screamed. No, the landlord said, looking at his clipboard. The tenant of record, my name, has signed a mutual termination agreement and is vacating. You two aren't on the lease. You're guests of a vacated tenant in a condemned zone. If you're still here in 1 hour, I'm calling the police to escort you out for trespassing on a construction site. They tried to call their lawyer, but even he had to tell them the truth. They couldn't stay in a place with no running water and a city uninhabitable sticker on the door, as they were frantically throwing their clothes into trash bags, because I'd already moved their suitcases to the storage unit they didn't have a key for. A process server knocked. He handed my girlfriend the papers for the civil fraud suit. What is this? She hissed, her eyes darting around the room. That's the bill for your test, I said. I'm suing you for the $15,000 in unauthorized charges you made on my accounts, which I've already flagged as identity theft from my bank, plus the lost wages. Since you used my biometric login on the iPad, without my consent to buy that furniture, the bank is opening a criminal fraud investigation. That's a felony, by the way. Her face went from a flush of anger to a sickly, grayish green. And one more thing, I said, looking at her mother. I know you work for that big insurance firm as an ethics liaison. I took the liberty of sending your HR department the video of you coaching your daughter on how to fudge residency documents and commit insurance fraud via fake pregnancy. I'm sure they'll find it very ethical. The mother's jaw hit the floor. She tried to lung at me, but the plumber, a guy who looked like he wrestled bears for fun, stepped between us. 1 hour, I repeated, tick-tock. They ended up loading their soggy trash bags into a U-Haul in a literal thunderstorm, while I sat in my dry car, watching the dashcam footage of the ex being handcuffed. The fallout was a masterpiece of justice. My girlfriend tried to claim in court that she honestly believed she was pregnant. My lawyer simply played the Instagram video of her clinking mimosas and laughing about how fast I came running. The judge, a no-nonsense woman who had clearly seen enough manipulative behavior to last a lifetime, was disgusted. You didn't just lie, the judge told her. You weaponized a deeply sensitive life event for the purpose of financial and emotional extortion. This court finds your testimony to be entirely lacking in credibility. The judge awarded me the full $15,000 for fraudulent charges plus $5,000 in damages. Since she didn't have the money, the court began the process of garnishing her wages, which were already meager. She had to move into a tiny one-bedroom basement apartment with her mother, who was fired from her ethics job within a week of receiving my email. The ex-boyfriend, between the party favors and the probation violation, he's currently sitting in a cell for the next 18 months. Without his tough guy presence to embolden her, my girlfriend's entitlement evaporated into a puddle of tears and desperate, blocked voicemails. As for me, I got the promotion. My boss actually took me out for a drink when he heard the real story. He said he'd rather have a senior analyst who can spot a scam and dismantle it with surgical precision than someone who just follows the rules. I'm currently sitting in my new place. It's quiet. The locks are smart-coded to my thumbprint. I'm thinking about going to that same bistro for brunch tomorrow. I think I'll order the most expensive thing on the menu and post a picture. The caption? Table for one. No tests required. Love. If you enjoyed seeing a pregnancy test turn into a litmus test for a jail cell, feel free to subscribe. Unlike my ex, I promise my updates are 100% real.